Good evening. I'd like to formally welcome everyone, including members of the gallery and press, to this council meeting. My name is Councillor Gavin Gamble and I'm the Mayor of Golden Plains Shire Council. Tonight this council meeting is taking place within the council chambers at the Golden Plains Shire Council Civic Centre in Bannockburn and is open to the public. This meeting is being live streamed in accordance with Council's governance rules, and I welcome any viewers joining us online. As the meeting is open to the public to attend, if the live stream ceases at any time, the meeting will continue. I will now recite the opening declaration on behalf of all councillors. We, the councillors of Golden Plains Shire, declare that we will undertake, on every occasion, to carry out our duties in the best interest of the community, and that our conduct shall maintain the standards of the Code of Good Governance, so that we may faithfully represent and uphold the trust placed in this council by the people of Golden Plains Shire. Acknowledgement of country. Golden Plains Shire spans the traditional lands of the Wadawurrung and Eastern Maar peoples. Council acknowledges them as the traditional owners and custodians and pays its respects to both Wadawurrung and Eastern Maar elders, past, present and emerging. Council extends that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are part of the Golden Plains Shire. Now we move on to apologies and leave of absence. Councillor Les Rowe has an apology. Are there any other apologies for this meeting or requests for leave of absence? Okay, thank you. Confirmation of minutes. Councillors, we have a recommendation before us to confirm the minutes and confidential minutes of the scheduled council meeting held on the 23rd of August 2022. Do I have a mover of the recommendation? Councillor Cunningham, thank you. And a seconder, Councillor Kirby. I'll now put the motion. All those in favour? The motion is carried unanimously. Conflicts of interests. Councillors, are there any declarations of conflicts of interest? No. Public question time. There are no submissions for public question times that have been received. We now move on to consider the formal agenda. Item 7.1, Citizen Recognition Award. Golden Plains Shire is proud to recognise the fantastic achievements and contributions made by the young people in the community. We are fortunate today to present a Citizen Recognition Award to Darcy McClelland, who is being recognised for his achievement in sport. Darcy is 16 years old, lives in Bannockburn, and has been fencing for about 8 years. Darcy was selected and competed for Australia in the World Cadet Championships in April 2022. Darcy also won 2 silver and 2 gold medals at the Oceania and Australian National Cadet Championships in July 2022. Can Darcy please come up to receive his award and say a few words if he wishes? We will then take a photo. Well done to Darcy. Now, item 7.2 is a citizenship ceremony, which no doubt will interest a few of you here. And so it is my honour As the Mayor of Golden Plains Shire Council, I'll read it from up here. It is my honour as the Mayor of Golden Plains Shire Council to be authorised to receive the Pledge of Citizenship of the Commonwealth of Australia here this evening. The citizenship ceremony is being conducted as prescribed in the Australian Citizenship Act 2007 and the Australian Citizenship Regulations 2007 under the authority of the Minister for Immigration, Citizenship and Multicultural Affairs. Tonight we welcome 18 candidates and I congratulate them on their decision to become Australians. Unfortunately, 2 candidates are unable to be with us tonight. Citizenship is a common bond which unites all Australians, whether they are Australia's traditional inhabitants, first-generation migrants, or the descendants of early settlers. I myself was born in Dublin and came to Australia via boat at the age of 4. Australia's rich heritage stems from the contributions made by all of our citizens, and as a nation, Australia has a commitment to various values and institutions. These values and institutions include parliamentary democracy, equality for all citizens before the law, freedom of speech and religion, and opportunity for all. Australian citizenship also brings responsibility and duty to obey our laws, to participate in the electoral process by voting, and to serve on the jury of your peers if called to do so. Candidates, Australia, and in particular the community of the Golden Plains Shire, takes great pride in your decision to choose to become part of this nation. I would now like to invite Eric Brazlis, CEO of Golden Plains Shire Council, to read a message from the Honourable Andrew Giles, MP, Minister for Immigration, Citizenship and Multicultural Affairs.
On behalf of the Minister, thank you for deciding to become an Australian citizen. Today, you join a nation that is one of the world's most successful multicultural societies. With around a half of all Australians either born overseas or with at least one parent born overseas. In Australia, everyone can be proud of who they are, and everyone should be respected, valued, and feel a sense of belonging. We are privileged to share this beautiful country within the world's oldest continuing culture. This is a fundamental part of who we are. For more than 60,000 years, First Nations people have cared for the country. Appreciating and understanding this truth is a vital part of what it means to be Australian. Australians are united by our shared commitment to democracy and the rule of law, and to freedom of speech, religion, and association. Our diversity is our strength, and we prosper by embracing this. We believe in a society in which everyone is equal, regardless of their gender, faith, sexual orientation, age, ability, race, nationality, or ethnic origin. Ours is a land of the fair go, in which respect and compassion underpin our care for each other and our willingness to reach out to those around us in times of need. By becoming an Australian citizen, you make a commitment to these values and to contribute to our evolving Australian story. On behalf of the Australian Government, heartfelt congratulations on becoming an Australian citizen.
Thank you. I would like to thank the Minister for providing that message of support for our candidates here today. Australian citizenship represents full and formal membership of the community of the Commonwealth of Australia, and Australian citizenship is a common bond involving reciprocal rights and obligations, uniting all Australians while respecting their diversity. Persons on whom Australian citizenship is conferred enjoy these rights and undertake to accept these obligations. By pledging loyalty to Australia and its people, by sharing their democratic beliefs, by respecting their rights and liberties, and by upholding and obeying the laws of Australia. I would now like to invite Joseph Heafy to come forward and pledge your affirmation to Australia. Hey, Joseph. If you could please repeat after me. From this time forward, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people,
I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
and whose laws I will uphold and obey.
and whose laws I will uphold and obey.
I would now like to invite Richard Kinsey to come forward and pledge your affirmation to Australia. If you could please repeat after me. From this time forward, under God,
From this time forward, under God,
I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people,
I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
and whose laws I will uphold and obey.
and whose laws I will uphold and obey.
Okay, thank you, Richard, and we'll get your certificate. I would now like to invite Sirirat Wasola to come forward and pledge your affirmation to Australia. If you could please repeat after me. From this time forward, under God,
From this time forward, under God,
I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people,
I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose democratic belief I share,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
whose right and liberty I respect,
and whose laws I will uphold and obey.
and whose law I will uphold and obey.
Very good. Congratulations. I would now like to invite Lingjong Wishart to come forward and pledge your affirmation to Australia. If you could please repeat after me. From this time forward, under God,
From this time forward, under God,
I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people,
I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
whose rights and liberty I respect,
and whose laws I will uphold and obey.
whose laws I will uphold and obey.
Very good, thank you. Congratulations. I would now like to invite Kurt, Jennifer, Taylor and Cade Beckley to come forward and pledge your affirmation to Australia. If you could all please repeat after me. From this time forward under God, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey. Congratulations. I would now like to invite Dishank, Maitili, Arya, Ariane and Misha Gedji to come forward and pledge your affirmation to Australia. If you could please repeat after me. From this time forward under God, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey. Congratulations. would now like to invite Jose Arcos Gomez, Sheila Guerrero, Chiliquinca, and Ethan Arcos Guerrero to come forward and pledge your affirmation to Australia. If you could please repeat after me. From this time forward under God, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey. Congratulations. I would now like to invite William and Holly Hilsden to come forward and pledge your affirmation to Australia. If you could please repeat after me. From this time forward under God, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey. I would now like to invite everyone in the gallery who wishes to publicly affirm their commitment to Australia and its people to stand and join in repeating the affirmation. As an Australian citizen, I affirm my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I uphold and obey. I would ask everyone to please remain standing for the national anthem. Thank you. You may now be seated. So, in conclusion, candidates, I welcome you as citizens of Australia, and I congratulate you on your decision to become an Australian citizen. You've made a pledge of commitment to Australia and its people and have been provided with a certificate to mark this occasion. This act of law is now completed, and on behalf of all Australians, I congratulate you and hope you have a happy and successful future as citizens of Australia. You're more than welcome to remain for the remainder of the council meeting, but we will not be offended if you choose to leave now. Thank you.
I don't think so. What a great turnout.
My neighbours, Eric.
Okay. Item 7.3, Delegates Report and Informal Meetings of Councillors Records. Councillors, as this is our Delegates Report, I will ask for a mover and seconder of the recommendation, following which all councillors will be asked if they wish to speak to their attendances over the past month. The recommendation is that Council receive and note the Delegates Report and informal meetings of councillors for the past month. Do I have a mover of the recommendation? Councillor Cunningham. And do I have a seconder? Councillor Getson. Thank you. Councillor Cunningham, do you wish to speak to the Delegates Report?
Mayor Gamble. Yeah, looks like you've had a pretty busy month, especially yourself there to be on. Just a couple of things I'd like to mention that I attended during the month, if I may. Myself and the Mayor attended on the 25th of August. We attended a function that was held by the Bannockburn and District Chamber of Commerce. It was a networking event and a launch of this year's directory. It's a great opportunity to meet with the local businesses and owners, and it was very well attended. And they launched their new directory for local businesses. Also attended the Tourism Greater Board, Geelong Bellarine stakeholder engagement. It was a meeting to discuss the viewing and discussing the Destination Master Plan. The document is an extremely important strategical plan to ensure the region progresses through the current coming out of COVID-19 period, and also looks to provide support and to embrace the new normal way of life we find ourselves living in. And the plan will also allow for other regions' future development and applicable required infrastructure. Councillor Whitfield and myself also attended a planning application consultation meeting, which we both did, which was very informative. Also, I think I attended a Youth Hub reference group during the month, and also the online Teesdale flood study that we did. And actually had a pretty busy month also, meeting with many residents from Bannockburn, Teesdale and Batesford. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Getson, do you wish to speak?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was unable to attend the fountain launch at Smythesdale and also the Northern Business Network meeting because of ill health, but I did get to the Living Sculptures at Lentwig myself on a bit of a cool day. And last night I chaired the AGM at the Lenton Historical Society, which they had a guest speaker from the Lenton Football Club, pride of it being Carnham Lenton. Went back to the 1800s and we had a slideshow, and they spoke of all the towns that had football teams, Berrybank and whatever, and Wallanduck, you name it, they all had it. So that was part one of a presentation. They're going to do part two at a later date, which will bring us up to current 2022. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Do I have any other speakers on the Delegates Report? Councillor Whitfield?
Thanks, Mayor. Yes, I did have some leave earlier in this month, so I too missed out on a few community events, but one that I got to, and you attended as well, Mr. Mayor, was the Great Victoria Bike Ride Community Meeting in Inverleigh, where local community groups were invited for an information session and invited to capitalise on the opportunities that 3,000 cyclists coming to town will bring. The event will be in Inverleigh on Saturday the 3rd of December and depart from there on the final leg of the ride to Buninyong on the 4th of December. The total distance of the ride will be 522 kilometres with an average daily distance of 75 kilometres. The ride has been an annual event for the last 36 years, and it's great that the organisers have included Golden Plains as part of the route. That's all. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Do you have others, councillors wishing to speak? Councillor Sharkey?
Thank you very much. I attended a couple of meetings this month, one with the Geelong Libraries Board, which was another update there. The annual report got put through a few things, so it was a good bi-monthly meeting there. Probably the one meeting which generally is a sort of mundane day, the MAV meetings, state meetings. They do tend to be quite procedural days in which a lot of the voting, which every delegate will be given a little voting contraption and everyone votes, and generally speaking those are very non-contentious, and 90% of councils will agree on most items. But this one was different than any other ones that I've been to, so there was some very contentious voting, and one of the major ones that got put through there is which sort of divided the metro and rural councils to a certain degree. And that is the sort of the voting. So a lot of those metro councils generally have 2 votes to the rules 1 vote, where now every council is given the same vote going forward. So yeah, a lot of metro councils were quite upset with that, and there was a lot of controversy and strong debate. But some of those councils like Bendigo and Geelong, sort of some of those sort of rural / metro sort of councils, sort of they were the ones that sort of fell on the side of allowing all to have the 1 vote going through. So it was quite a contentious day. It was good to be at one of those where we were, one of those ones. It's would like to have seen it on Zoom in theory, but definitely having been that controversial, it was great to see everyone in the room together. So that was a good one there. And I note that I was unable to attend the last strategic meeting that we had on council there, and again just voicing my disappointment there that we're not. We should be getting better at that IT side of things and having some of those IT meetings recorded for councillors like myself with young families that aren't able to attend all of them each and every time. So I think it's something we need to get better as a group to help other councillors into the future that aren't able to attend every meeting, be able to go in and be able to watch them afterwards. So I haven't been given that opportunity the last couple of strategic meetings. I have had family commitments. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Sharkey. Do I have anyone else who wishes to speak on the delegates? Councillor Kirby.
Thank you, Mayor Gamble. Yes, I attended the CWA Regional Conference that was held at the Smythesdale Recreation Reserve. The Scarsdale branch was the host of the event, which was very well attended. There was groups from Moorabool, Ballarat, right around the whole district. So once again, it was good to see a group of women coming together for very good causes for the work that they do in that area. Another one I attended was I was with Jeff Hayden, the Managing Director of Central Highlands Water, and that was to present a water fountain to the Wodie Yallock Equestrian Centre and the Historical Precinct in Smythesdale. They were both installed by Central Highlands Water as part of their Choose Their Tap initiative to help users of these spaces make sustainable choices and making it easier to reuse their drink bottles. The fountains are decorated with Indigenous artwork with a story on the back of each fountain. I'd just like to thank the students and all the residents for attending the openings of both of the openings at the Wodie Yallock and the well. I also stepped in for Mayor Gamble, who wasn't able to attend the Ganesh Chaturthi Festival that was held at the Ballarat Showgrounds. It was part of the Hindu community, and it was held over 4 days. The day that I was there, we had a lot of special guests, and some of them were Catherine King, Michaela Settle, Samantha McIntosh, just to name a few. So I'd like to thank the festival organisers for inviting Golden Plains Shire. There was a lot of dance, a lot of music and entertainment, so it was a fantastic opportunity to see the Hindu festival take place. And as well as that, we were all also given a gift for the Shire, so I'd like to present this to the Shire, which is just a lovely keepsake of the Hindu festival. Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor Kirby, and thanks for your work standing in for some of those events. Over the past month, I've been engaged in significant advocacy work with G21 and Peri-Urban Councils Victoria. I've also been attending meetings, conferences and/or events conducted by Rural Councils Victoria, Central Highlands Council Victoria, Barwon Water, CFA National Emergency Medal Ceremony at Deakin University, and I've attended many community engagement meetings which are listed in Delegates' Report on page 8. These included joining community members in the planting and launch of the incredible Living Sculpture project at Linton, which Councillor Getson was at too, the Berrybank Wind Farm community meeting at Wallenduck, Inverleigh Active Youth Space engagement session with Mr Brazlis, and separately the Great Victorian Bike Ride community engagement session with Councillor Whitfield. Sorry, my wife's called Whiteley and I get them mixed up sometimes. I'm proud to be Mayor of the Shire that is the highest percentage of 5 to 11-year-olds in the state, and with as far as LGAs go. And this month I had 3 quality interactions with youth, as well as doing a lot of strong advocacy work on issues that affect and are important to them, such as improvement of public transport services connecting into regional cities, both from Smythesdale and Bannockburn. I attended the excellent Rural Council Victoria Annual Forum, along with Councillor Rowe and Councillor Kirby in Dalesford, and the CEO. The main themes were housing crisis and stress, extra funding for roads and services, biohazards and rural tourism. However, the main focus was definitely on the desperate need for housing across rural Victoria and the recognition at the highest level of government the lack of diversity as being a major problem. The failure of private development, many other councils are investing directly into housing, and high recognition of individual local governments having specific needs and priorities. As part of the panel, we had the Wimmera Development Association, which are 6 councils which are banded together, leading the way in Victoria on finding solutions for their communities, admittedly experimenting, self-reliant and tight communities not waiting for solutions to be given to them. With G21, a massive highlight was the very effective 2-day Spring Street mayoral delegation meetings. We had 15 meetings over 2 days, where we gave state government ministers and shadow ministers a strong sense of our identity as one of the fastest growing regions in Australia, our needs, including housing, transport, a sustainable future, Commonwealth Games readiness, further cultural and tourism investment, a strong but positive picture. We received very positive feedback on the quality of our delegation. That was noted by several of the politicians. Additionally, as part of the new cross-pillar group with G21, I've had a significant input into the soon-to-be-released integrated transport strategy, which we flagged to nearly all the politicians we met. Similarly, at the Central Highlands Council board meeting, reinstigation of the inter-regional cities passenger rail service is seen as being a major priority and part of the Commonwealth Games, along with regional tourism and alignment with the Goldfields World Heritage Bid. With the Peri-Urban Council Victoria group, unfortunately with the Queen's death and the reprioritisation of Parliament, the extensively planned delegation meetings in Canberra were significantly reduced and didn't go ahead in terms of travel, but instead the Peri-Urban group engaged in 2 online meetings with the Minister for Local Government and the Office of Catherine King. Advocacy themes were specific needs and pressures put on the high-growth peri-urban councils and the help we need coming off a traditional smaller population rural ratepayer base. This includes issues such as commuting and transport infrastructure, placemaking, e.g. our need for a new CFA and SES station and 24/7 police presence in Bannockburn, and also a new ambulance station in Smythesdale, and affordable housing, etc. The August meeting of Peri-Urban Council Victoria included some outstanding presentations on managing growth, and my proposal for advocacy for peri-urban environment management resource increase was adopted, recognising the many peri-urban conservation reserves are under increased pressures. In conclusion, it's great to see the Golden Plains Shire environment and spring looking so healthy at the moment in the shorter term, and most of us can be optimistic with the worst of the pandemic over. We should not forget, however, the people still affected, and there are a lot of people experiencing housing stress and other economic instabilities in our Shire and around the world. And finally, I'd just like to note that the communications team, as an example, in dealing with other councils and other groups, then I can't actually remember who it was from, but the recognition of how effective our communications team is and how busy they are as well, which I think also reflects on the amount of activities and work that we're doing, that officers are doing, and the success we're having as a councillor group in supporting and helping our community. Okay, thank you. Item 7.4, the council meeting. Oh, yeah, yep, okay. So we had Brett as Councillor Cunningham as the mover and Councillor Getson as the seconder. Councillor Cunningham, do you wish to close?
Nothing else to add, thank you, Mayor Gamble.
In that case, I'll now put the motion. All those in favour? Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. So item 7.4, the council meeting date update, November 2022. I'll ask the director to briefly introduce the report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council adopted the schedule for the 2022 scheduled council meetings on the 16th of November 2021. In the approved schedule, the mayoral electoral meeting was scheduled for the 17th of November, which was a typographical error, as the 17th of November is a Thursday and the intended date was the Tuesday the 15th of November. Council may by resolution change the date, time and place of any council meeting. It's recommended that council resolve to move the mayoral election council meeting from the 17th of November to Tuesday the 15th of November.
Okay, thank you. Acting Director, Corporate Services, Fiona Ray. Thank you. So we have the following recommendation: that the council meeting to hold the mayoral election scheduled for the Thursday, 17th of November 2022 be changed to Tuesday, the 15th of November 2022. Are there any questions? Do I have a mover? A question? Any further questions? I have a mover of the recommendation. Councillor Whitfield. And can I have a seconder? Councillor Kirby. Councillor Whitfield, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Very briefly, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I'll move the recommendation as the motion. The reason for doing so is to correct a clerical error. Thank you.
Councillor Kirby, do you wish to speak?
I think Councillor Whitfield summed it up. Thank you.
Are there any councillors who wish to speak against the motion? Any councillors wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Whitfield, do you wish to close?
Thanks.
I'll now put the motion. All those in favour? Motion's carried unanimously. Now we move to item 7.5. Surplus council land in Batesford. Director Ray, could you, I'll ask you to introduce the report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council owns a narrow strip of land in Dog Rocks North Estate in Batesford, which is not utilised for any council or public purpose, which appears best suited for sale. It is proposed to declare the land described as surplus area and commence the process to sell the land. In order to commence the statutory process to sell, a planning permit needs to be obtained and council is required to comply with Section 114 of the Local Government Act, which sets out the legislative process for the sale of land. And that requires to publish the notice of intent at least 4 weeks prior to the sale, to have community consultation and evaluation to be obtained. Just noting the land is adjoining some private residential blocks, and the development plan shows this strip of land was originally classified as a walkway reserve, but has since ended up only leading onto a private property. Happy to take any questions.
The recommendation is on page 14 of the agenda, and are there any questions? Councillor Kirby.
Thank you. Yes, so the actual size of it is 2,496 metres squared, so that means that it wouldn't be big enough for a house to be built on. But at the same time, has it been identified through any of the community planning of using that land for anything Pacific in the past?
It hasn't, to my knowledge, not that I'm aware of. It's only 10 metres wide in size, which makes it very limited as far as what it can be used for.
Thank you, Director.
Any further questions? Do I have a mover for the officer's recommendation as written on page 14? Kirby, thank you. And a seconder, please. Councillor Cunningham. Councillor Kirby, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Mayor Gamble. Yes, as we can see, this parcel of land is actually being unused in Batesford at the moment. I think it's one of those areas that hasn't been identified by the community as when I asked the question, it just doesn't seem to have been used for even a walking path at the moment. I'd love to see this go out to the community for consultation. Let's see what the community come back with, and I think it's just one of them parcels of land that's been sitting there idle, and if it's not being used for any public purpose, I think it might be time to sell it and move on, and then those sort of funds could go into a community benefit for the whole Shire if it's not actually being used for any purpose. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cunningham, do you wish to speak on the motion?
Thanks, Mayor Gamble. I might reserve my right to speak if possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any councillors who wish to speak against the motion? Councillor Sharkey.
Thank you very much, Mayor Gamble. I was just trying to think of several ways, because I do agree, and I think most people and everyone knows that I'm from this area of Batesford and live quite close to this parcel of land. I don't think that one can argue that it's not surplus area, and I don't think anyone can argue about the fact that this is a planned walkway by council to nothing. It's absolute worst plan. It's planning at its worst to see something like this, and I'm sure that anyone that digs deep on this will identify that it is absolutely poor planning and shocking planning. So identifying it as surplus area is the right thing to do. I don't agree with obtaining a planning permit. I don't agree with commencing that process without community engagement first. I think it's very important for us to put that community engagement first. And I know I brought up at the briefing on this. We're talking about one parcel of land. There's 4 or 5 parcels of these land in Batesford, and let's look at this strategically. If we're going to go through the process of community consultation, and we all know that takes officers time and effort to do that, along with the cost of doing that, let's look at I think there's about 5 parcels of land that are like this. Let's go out to the community and speak to them on all items. I think in part we're putting a cart in front of a horse here. We're already talking about selling it. We don't know what the value of it is. We've got nothing there that sort of even suggests a rough estimate. Anyone knows that it holds zero value to a lot of people, and there's 2 abutting neighbours there who will have a monetary value on it. I just don't think it's very. I just don't like seeing items like this that aren't strategic, and I don't feel that we're looking at this strategically enough. There's 5 other parcels or strips of land that we should look at. If we're going to go out for community consultation, let's go out, ask community about all of them. They'll have differing opinions on all of them. And, you know, I think on my time previous to council and during council on this parcel of land, you know, as a community member, this was one of the locations we were given as residents to put playgrounds on. Like, it's embarrassing that these parcels of land were left like that to residents, and between the landowners, the developer and the planners of the councils, that they should hold their head in shame that something like this is left there. So I don't disagree with the whole thing, but I don't think we're doing the process right, so I can't support the whole thing as it stands there. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak on the motion? No, in that case, Councillor Kirby, do you wish to close? Oh yes, okay, yeah, sorry, Councillor Cunningham.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. Take yeah, I'm just wondering if not me correct. The option of deferring. Got to put forward a motion to. Is that an amendment? Yeah, alternative motion, if I could, which would be to defer this item to the group of councillors can discuss it further. And I think both Councillor Sharkey and Councillor Kirby have made some good points, but yeah, I think it might be good to defer it and review it at another date.
Do I have a seconder for Councillor Cunningham's? It's an alternative motion or amendment. Yep, okay, yep. Foreshadowed motion.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any, so that was your right to speak then.
Well, thank you, Mayor Gamble.
And so, Councillor Kirby, do you wish to close at this stage?
Thank you, Mayor Gamble. Yes, I think within council we have to go through a process, and I think the process is bringing it to the councillor group, and for us to then say, okay, yes, this is surplus land, but we need to take it out for community engagement. So this is one way of doing it. It doesn't mean that it's definitely going to be sold. It just means that it's giving us the option of taking it out to the community, asking them, is it a viable piece of land or in any of their strategic plans for Batesford and Dog Rocks? And if it's not, I'm very happy to go through with the process of a sale. If not, if the residents feel that there is a need to keep this and maintain it or have it as some sort of use within the township, then I'm happy that I would not go ahead and proceed with selling. But I think at this time, we just need to be practical about it, go out to the community and let's hear what the residents have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'll now put the motion. All those in favour of the recommendation, raise your hand. all those, the motion's been lost. Yeah. All those against, raise your hand. So the motion's been lost.
Could we have a division, please?
Yep. Those in support of the motion, raise your hand. Councillor Gamble and Councillor Kirby. Those against the motion, Councillor Getson, Councillor Sharkey, Councillor Whitfield and Councillor Cunningham. Okay, thank you. So we now move on to Councillor Cunningham's foreshadowed motion that we defer it.
Thank you, Mayor Gamble. Yeah, I'd like to put forward the alternative motion, which would be to defer this agenda item to allow further discussion and to gather further information. I'd like it to possibly come to our next briefing day, council briefing day, please.
Thank you. And do we have a seconder? Councillor Getson. So, okay, well, Councillor Cunningham, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Nothing else to add from what I've said. Thank you.
Councillor Getson, do you wish to speak to the
No, nothing further,
motion?
Mr Mayor.
Are there any councillors who wish to speak against the motion? Councillor Kirby?
Thank you, Mayor Gamble. Look, I don't know how this alternative motion is going to stack up. We've already brought this to briefing day, and I really don't know what more we're going to get out of it. It really does need to go out to the community. We've got to hear what they want, their feedback, not what anyone sitting around this table wants or needs. I think it's a bigger issue and more of a strategic planning for the future of Batesford. So let's take it out there. Let's, vote against this motion, because we really need to make sure that we're listening and hearing the people of Batesford on this parcel of land. Thank you.
Are there any councillors who wish to speak for the motion? Councillor Whitfield.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I actually think Councillor Kirby and others are on exactly the same page. We do want to hear what the community would like to do with the property, and chicken or egg first, who knows, but rather than declare it surplus first and then go to consultation, let's go to consultation first, get the feedback from the community. Potentially this alternative motion could have asked it to come back a little longer, just to provide further analysis of other lots in the area that might be under similar circumstances, but I think that the intent will still achieve the same thing if we ask for that at the next briefing day, which is in line with this motion. So, yeah, I think we're on the same page. Bit of a stickler for how the process goes about it, but yeah, supportive of it. Thank you.
Any other councillors wish to speak on the motion? Councillor Sharkey?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, look, I agree with a lot of comments there by Councillor Kirby. I absolutely struggle to defer items. I hate supporting a deferral. We are here and we are paid here to be here and to make decisions. But I think trying to reconstruct that recommendation to something else probably would have proved a little bit too difficult for the night. But I'm probably supporting this deferral in the hope that the report doesn't come back in its same format and its same presentation. I think if it is going to be, it'll end up being deferred again. I think we really need to look at this holistically and look at the 4 or 5 other blocks of land that's in there. I think through that process, all councillors will get an absolute appreciation of the frustration from Batesford in the lack of open space and things like that will come out through this process as well. But I think there'll be other parcels of land there that we can look at and mark as surplus land, and maybe give them off them to neighbouring properties if interested, and if council and the community deem it excess land. So I do struggle to support a deferral, but I will in this case. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any other councillors who wish to speak on the motion? In that case, Councillor Cunningham, do you wish to close?
Nothing else to add to that. Thank you, Mayor Gamble.
Now put the motion. All those in favour? And all those against? The motion is carried. Now we move to item 7.6. Review of Instrument of Appointment and Authorisation Planning and Environment Act 1987. Acting Director Ray. Well, councillors, as this item is a regular statutory item, I will take the report in the agenda for this item as read. I refer councillors to page 18 of the agenda for the officer recommendation. Are there any questions? Do I have a councillor to move the officer recommendation as written? Councillor Whitfield. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Cunningham. Councillor Whitfield, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I move the recommendation as the motion. As there has been an organisational structure change since the instrument was reviewed and adopted at the last council meeting, it's necessary to amend the instrument of appointment and authorisation under the Planning and Environment Act 1987 to ensure the correct staff have the appropriate authorisations. Updating the instrument will keep the wheels turning. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Cunningham, do you wish to speak?
That's Councillor Whitfield's covered off pretty much what I had to say there, so nothing else to add. Thanks.
Are there any other speakers on the motion? In that case, do you wish to close, Councillor Whitfield?
Thanks.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Motion's carried unanimously. Item 7.7, tender for Arthurs Lane Bridge replacement. I'll ask Director Josipovic, Director of Infrastructure and Environment, to briefly introduce the report. And I refer councillors to page 21 of the agenda for the officer recommendation.
Mr. Mayor. Council sought tenders from suitably qualified and experienced contractors to undertake construction of Arthurs Bridge and associated road approach works in Grenville. The existing single-lane concrete bridge is located over the crossing of an unnamed tributary of the Yarrawee River on Arthurs Lane in Grenville, as I said. The existing narrow structure is in poor condition and cannot be used to move wider farm equipment across the creek. Purpose of the proposed bridge replacement is to allow safer access to heavier, oversized vehicles and agricultural equipment across the creek. Proposed bridge is designed to current standards and with the target serviceable lifespan of approximately 100 years will significantly reduce the maintenance burden on council. The existing bridge will be demolished. Bridge construction is concrete precast structure with new guardrails and rock work on the creek banks. The tender was advertised on the 7th of July, closing on the 3rd of August, with 4 submissions received on closing. Councils have received a confidential tender panel evaluation report previously, and the recommendation is to award contract GPSC RFT 19-2022 to On-Track Civil Earthworks for the sum of $443,716.77, exclusive of GST. And also to delegate to the Chief Executive Officer or his delegate authority to execute the contract on behalf of Council. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Director. Are there any questions for the Director? Councillor Kirby.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I was just a bit concerned when going through the tenders that none of the tenders were able to substitute a different sort of material that's sorry, I've just lost the word, but a recyclable material or something that's not original to what we do these days. So it was just a bit of a shame that it was put out there in the tender, but none of the tenderers come back with alternatives.
Yeah, I agree. The tender did allow for respondents to put an alternative innovation piece as part of their submission. But at the end of the day, we issued a tender with a design that called for a concrete bridge and the way they tendered. So we will look at our contract methodology or tender methodology. We've had internal discussions, and one of the things that gets a better result is if we go for a design and construct bridge replacement, as opposed to have a consultant do the design and then tender the construction of that design. There are companies out there that are quite innovative when they have the D&C type contract rather than just a construction. But I agree with you. I think we need to get a bit smarter on how we get that, include some of that recyclable material and environmentally sustainable material. Yeah.
And it could even just be the roads leading up to the bridge, some recycled materials there rather than, it doesn't actually have to be in the construction of the bridge, but the actual roadways and that sort of thing as well.
And that'll be something also we consider as part of our climate emergency plan about our policies around procurement and, stipulating recyclable content or all that kind of stuff in our tenders. So there's a bit of work to be done in that space, I agree, 100%.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for the Director? Can I have a mover for the officer recommendation as written? Councillor Kirby. And can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Whitfield. Councillor Kirby, do you wish to speak to the motion?
I think in my questions, I think I did have enough to say there, but it is good to see that the officers are working on preparing a report for the future and bringing that back to us. So I'm happy to go ahead with the tender that's been approved. So, yep, I agree.
And Councillor Whitfield, do you wish to speak on the motion?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yes, the tender process is quite rigorous that these contractors go through. On Track Civil Earthworks has got through that process based on scores and reference checks, which were measured by capacity, capability, innovation, price and local content. This tender is another that continues the significant infrastructure works carried out by Council. As the Director mentioned, the bridge replacement will allow for heavier oversized vehicle and agricultural equipment across the creek. A new lifespan of 100 years being made out of concrete is also a reduction of maintenance requirements for Council, and the approaches either side will be sealed. So looking forward to another successful bridge replacement. There's been quite a few over the last few years, and unfortunately we didn't receive any outside funding for this bridge replacement. So it's Council funding this in-house, which is worth noting. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers on the motion? For or against? Councillor Cunningham?
Would speak for it, but I'll just take the opportunity just to acknowledge the process that the Council Office undertake, and also the information that's supplied to the councillors to review regarding these type of items. Thank you.
Any other speakers? Councillor Sharkey?
Very much, Megan. I think it. Look, just taking some of the comments around the room, how rigorous this process is, the detail in there, it's fantastic to see that all been done. But I think there's a point in time where we as a council group have to have a conversation about these coming to us. This is just 10% over delegation. So the CEO has delegation up to 400,000, and this is only coming to us because it's over that amount. This is budgeted in our budget. The community have had their opportunity to have the say whether they want that in or out of the budget. We as a council group and as a council have put this into our budget. So this ticks all the boxes. So the only thing up for conversation on this is the process around the delegation amount. Now I know the last previous council group we had a conversation there. We lifted it from 200,000 up to 400,000. Inflation is running at 8 and 10% at the moment. On top of that, we've got the issue of projects like these. You know, we're going to have to budget more for these into the future, and that the costs of these are going up significantly. So we, as a fast-growing council, need to probably have a conversation at a point in time in our term whether we lift that from 400 to 500, 600 million, whatever the figure is. But at the end of the day, there's an officer here who has put time and effort into this report. We're holding up this project from being done and started, potentially. And I haven't asked any questions, or I don't know, but maybe this project could have been started 30, 60 days ago if it hadn't have gone through this process. We are all have just spoken how confident we are in the process. I think it's hugely important that a delegation amount is at something, but I think at a briefing day into the future, I think we as a council group should have a conversation about lifting that with inflation and building costs and things running up. This is an absolute no-brainer, and this should have been stamped 45 days ago, whatever it was, and get some boots on ground and get the people's money. I know that's a conversation we've had about our funds. Ratepayers have got and gifted us huge sums of money, and we're not delivering projects quick enough and fast enough. So I think that's a small tool that may help. And I'm not suggesting a figure, and it'd be interesting. We looked at it last term. It doesn't give the CEO free rein over everything. He still has to align to our budget amounts that we've got in there. So I think it's a conversation for a later day, but fully support that. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other speakers on the motion? In that case,
Right, I'd like to, but I know I can't.
yeah. Okay, Councillor Kirby, would you like to close, please?
Thank you. Yes, as we know, this is in a farming area, and the size of the vehicles are just so massive now, and with the weight dimensions as well. So it's really good to see that council's taken the initiative of moving this one along. As we know, we have a lot of bridges in our shire that still need to be upgraded, so I'm really pleased to see that this one's going ahead, and I hope that the design and the upgrade will last for the next 100 years, so that it's going to be a lot of council terms in between. Thank you.
Okay. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Motion's carried unanimously. So we have no notices of motions, no petitions, nil urgent business, nil confidential reports for decision for this meeting. There being no further items of business, I declare the meeting closed at 7:21 p.m. Thank you, councillors and officers.